Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of the Evolving Game series. And in this episode, we're going to give our character the ability to perform a Ragdoll Death when our health reaches 0. So let's just jump straight into it. So let's first go to our health component that we created in a previous episode. And at the bottom here, under decrease health, we've got a section here where we are triggering basically our death, right? So we are setting is alive to false here. So that's basically us being dead. So what we want to do is create an event dispatcher, and we are just going to simply call this death. We will drag that in. We will call it. There we go. So what this allows to happen is as soon as our character performs all these checks and these calculations and we run out of health and we tag our full health as being false, our is alive as being false, at this point, we're dead, right? So this will send a message out and say any other actor or any other code out there that can use this to trigger something, here, take it. This character's dead. So let's compile and save that. Now let's come back over here and we're gonna open. Actually, you know what? Let's do some prep work here. Let's create a new blueprint class, player controller. We will call it BP underscore. Let's just call it player controller. So up until now, we've been putting all of our controls in the third person character blueprint. Well, we're going to start adding things to our player controller now. And the reason being is when we kill this character and we destroy this actor, we need a place that we can put code that can respawn this character later. So the ideal place to do that in is going to be the character controller, because our character controller is not going to get deleted from the game while we're in it. We're still going to be basically in control of our controller and possessing that. But our controller is going to lose possession of our player character pawn, and we can have it repossess that character on the respawn. Okay? So under player controller, we're going to actually move some code. Let's open up our third person character blueprint, and let's go to our begin play section here. So under begin play, we have a couple different things going on here that we're actually gonna change up how this is all working. Let's actually start restructuring it just a little bit. So let's grab a sequence node. So this is a common thing that a lot of people will put on begin play, just because there could be tons of things we want to do on begin play. Sequence node keeps it a little more organized because you can add pins here and keep adding pins and just put a line of code on each sequence. So the first thing we're going to do is we basically are going to take this code. Let's just cut that out. We're going to come over to our player controller, to our event graph. We don't need tick. Let's paste that there. And let's go ahead and add a sequence node here just to future-proof it. And here we go. I am going to do one extra thing in here. We're going to set that widget to a variable just so we can reference it later. And we will just call this HUD underscore ref. Okay. Add HUD to viewport. All right, we will come back to this controller a little bit later to add our respawn code over here. Let's go back to our character blueprint here. And we are going to need to keep this, right? This is that stop sprinting mechanic that we did. So this is going to be, I'm going to put this down a little bit further in the code. And stop sprinting when exhausted. So we've added our event dispatch for when we die right here. So let's call that now, and we don't need that anymore. Let's come over here to our begin play section. And let's add one right here. So we'll grab our health, and this was called death. So we will bind the event death. That's gonna tie into there. And we will come off of this and create a new custom event. And we will just call this kill player. We will grab our mesh, and we are going to set simulate physics because we want our character to ragdoll. Tick simulate. And then we also want to disable movement when this happens. So we don't want to be able to move this player around. Disable movement. And then let's put in a delay of 3 seconds. Give us time to look at the ragdoll effect. And then we will simply destroy actor. That looks right. Let's comment this. Kill player. This bind event death will see that event coming from our health component. And whenever it sees that, it'll just run this code here. Now there is one thing we have to do. This is not going to simulate physics on our mesh yet. We do need to make a change on our mesh. So let's highlight our mesh. And I'm just going to type in collision. Okay. And here under collision presets, we're going to change it from the character mesh preset to the ragdoll preset. And that'll allow us to simulate physics on this mesh. Compile, save. So we made the change to our character controller. We added the character controller here, but what we did not change was under our game mode, we need to select that player controller because right now it's just using the default player controller class to possess that pawn. We need to change that to our BP underscore player controller. Compile, save. Now let's give it a go. Okay, we have our HUD. We're just going to stand in here, take damage, and let's see what happens. Character ragdolls. There we go. All right. Now we have nothing else going on here. You notice our HUD empties out. We can't control anything, and there's no respawning code yet. Also, we have an error here that has to do with our HUD. So you can see we are not able to get the health bar percentage or the stamina bar percentage anymore because that actor was destroyed. So let's jump over to the HUD and fix that error real quick. UI, WBP HUD. And then let's go to our graph. And what we need to do here is a very simple fix here. So here's our stamina bar. We are going to put an is valid. This will be easier. So one here with the question mark. And we want to see if this character is valid. So basically, if this character exists in the world, then do this code. If it doesn't, we're not going to do any code. And that'll keep us from getting those errors. So we need to do that for the stamina bar and for this health bar. All right. And let's just jump right in and just see that in action. Character's dead. We pop out. We have no errors now. So now let's create the respawn code. So we're going to create a custom event over here under our player controller. Let's just call it respawn player. And the first thing we're going to do is grab a reference to our HUD. And then we want to remove that HUD, remove from parent. Now the reason we want to do this is if we destroy our actor and then we respawn our actor and we add this HUD back to our viewport, the old HUD is actually going to still be in memory. There may be a better way to do what I'm about to show you. This is the one way I've tested. It does work, and I'll have to look into it further to see if there's a better way to do this. But removing from parent doesn't technically destroy it unless there's no reference to that widget left in the system. So what we need to do next is actually set this reference, because we do have a reference here. And we're going to set this reference, and we're not going to select anything. We're just going to set it to null. So it removes this HUD from its parent, sets this to null, and then I think that triggers off basically the garbage collector to get that HUD completely deleted out of memory. If I'm wrong and somebody's watching this that knows there's a better way to do this, by all means, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to look into this some more, but this is one of the issues I had to figure out early on before I recorded this video. So let's go next, and we are going to set a delay. Let's just make this 1 second. And then we actually want to, you know what? I forgot something here. We need to add an input here on respawn player. So highlight your custom event node here, and over here to the right under inputs, let's hit the plus sign. We'll add a new event. We'll just call it player. And we will search for our BP third person character and do an object reference to that character. And then from that, we want to get the class of the character. And then from that class, we're going to do a spawn actor. Spawn actor from class. Now we do need a location for this spawn. So let's just promote this spawn location to a variable. And we will call that, let's just call it respawn location. All right, and we're going to actually define that later also. And then we actually want to possess And the target that we want to possess, we need to get a reference to self here, because we are doing code on the player controller right now. So we want our this player controller to possess this new spawned in actor. Now we need to also create our widget again. So we need to get we want the HUD to pop up on the newly possessed character. So we are just going to create widget, the HUD widget, and we are going to set this reference again to this new widget. And then we also want to add to viewport. Respawn player. Compile, save. So let's go over to our third person character blueprint. We'll come here to event begin play. Just move this down. And let's go ahead and set up that respawn location. So this respawn location here, let's get that set. So let's get player controller. And we will cast to BP player controller. And then we can set from that, set respawn location. And then that respawn location is going to be the location of this third person character is what we want to do. So basically wherever we start in the map, we're just setting our respawn location to that. So get actor transform, target being self, which is third person character. Okay. And that handles set player respawn location. All right, I'm just gonna do a couple things to clean this up. So the last bit of information that we need to feed our respawn code is the actual player that's getting respawned. And we need to be able to trigger that respawn. So let's go back over here. Let's go to, is it our health? Yes. I forgot about that. We don't need any of that anymore. Let's just get rid of that. We need to call an event destroyed. So this is an existing event in the engine that we can, technically what we're doing here is overriding this. We're basically saying, should this character get destroyed, on the event of that character being destroyed, we're going to do this code. So what we want to do is call the respawn player code right here. So should our character be destroyed, we want this code to run. So we need to get player controller. We will cast to BP player controller. And as player controller, we are just going to respawn. And the player here, we're going to get a self reference because this code exists on the third person character blueprint. And that is what this is what we're feeding in to this location here. So that's how this knows to get the class from this third person character to spawn. All right. Respawn. Whoops. Respawn player if destroyed. That should be all we need to get our character to die properly and respawn. So let's check it out. So we're taking damage. We ragdoll. And you saw there the HUD got deleted, character got deleted. And then we are back here at our starting point where we start in the match. And we have our new HUD that is working. Now we'll test one bug here. I'm going to have our character be exhausted when we die. And we will make sure on the new HUD, yeah, we don't see the exhausted text. So when I tested this out, there was a bug there, and that's the reason for the code here for removing from parent, deleting that HUD out, and getting it to respawn and connect back up. The whole reason of that is to fix those bugs and to make the HUD link back up to that newly spawned actor so we can get our percentage values from over here properly. All right, with that being said, we are done with this. Again, we will add some more features to this later. We'll probably add some respawn points and things like that. We're just doing the very basics right now. So if you guys can think of anything else that you would like to add in this project, please, by all means, leave comments and let me know what you would like to see, and we can work on those things next. All right, I will see you guys in the next video.